Our story kicks off in Korea, back when the country was under Japanese occupation. We meet our main girl, Shizuko, who's on her way to a boarding school with her stepmother. Her stepmom insists on sending her there, not just for school, but so she can get treatment for her illness. Meanwhile, it gives her stepmom an excuse to travel with her husband without worrying about Shizuko. Once they arrive, the headmistress welcomes Shizuko and reassures her that she'll be just fine at the school. But the moment her stepmom leaves, things start to feel a bit off. Shizuko is taken to get her school uniform, and while they're collecting her belongings, she politely asks to keep her personal diary. But instead of agreeing, the assistant slaps her across the face and tells her to follow the rules. Yeah, definitely not your average school. Later, when Shizuko gets to her assigned bed, she notices something strange. Her name is already carved into the headboard. That's when it hits her. There was another girl here before her with the same name. Suddenly, a cheerful student named Kazu shows up and tries to cheer her up with candy, saying things will get better. Then the headmistress comes back to introduce her to the other students. As Shizuko sits down, another girl named Kira tells her about a competition happening soon. Whoever wins gets to go study in Tokyo. That night, the headmistress makes her rounds, giving all the girls their nightly medicine and watching closely to make sure they actually take it. After lights out, while everyone's trying to sleep, Kira wakes Shizuko up and takes her to see Yuka, the school's queen bee and a full-on bully. Yuka starts throwing rocks at Shizuko and even asks if her illness is contagious. The stress causes Shizuko to have a coughing fit, and she collapses, bleeding from the mouth. Thankfully, Kazu rushes in and defends her, forcing everyone to back off and go back to bed. But when Kazu returns to her bunk, she looks deeply upset, like she's hiding something big. The next day, the headmistress checks in on Shizuko and gives her some kind of special drink, saying it'll give her strength. Later, Kira explains why things went down the way they did. Turns out, the girl who used to be in Shizuko's bed had the exact same name, and she was super close to Kazu. One day, that girl just disappeared. The headmistress claimed her condition got worse and her family took her home, but no one really believed that. That night, Kazu takes Shizuko to her secret hideout and gives her back the diary the assistant had taken. But here's the twist. When Shizuko opens it, she realizes it already has her name written inside. That's when it clicks. The diary belonged to the original Shizuko. They sit together for a while, and for the first time, Shizuko opens up. She tells Kazu that her mom died when she was young, and her dad and stepmom basically abandoned her at this school because they were afraid of catching whatever illness she has. The next day is the big competition. It's a jumping challenge to decide who'll be eligible to travel to Japan. Yuka and Kazu crush it, breaking records. But when it's Shizuko's turn, she can't even start running. Later that night, she pulls out the old diary again, only to find most of the pages have been ripped out. With nothing left to write on, she puts it away and falls asleep. The following day during lunch, the headmistress casually announces that she's added something new to the students' medicine, something custom-made to help them recover faster. Sounds helpful, right? But something feels off. Shizuko asks Kira about the old Shizuko, but the moment she brings it up, Kira's entire expression changes. She suddenly lunges at Shizuko and tries to strangle her out of nowhere, completely unhinged. Luckily, Kazu bursts in just in time and pulls her off before things get worse. Right after that, something weird happens to Kira. She suddenly has a full-blown seizure, her body twisting in disturbing ways, like her bones are breaking and folding in on themselves. And with all the chaos, Shizuko starts to feel sick again, so she heads off to take her medicine. But when she finishes, she runs into Kira, who's acting totally normal, like nothing ever happened. She doesn't even remember the incident and talks to Shizuko as if everything's fine. Later, Shizuko opens up to Kazu again and tells her that more than anything, she wants to go to Japan and see her dad. She also confesses she's never seen the ocean in her life. So Kazu decides to sneak her out to a hidden spot where they can see the sea together. For the first time, Shizuko coughs without blood coming out, and she's so happy she runs toward Kazu, but ends up slipping and they both fall into the river. Back at school, Shizuko takes her medicine again, this time staring at it with a strange sense of gratitude. She thinks it's the reason she's finally getting better. And during the next training session, she surprises everyone by jumping 3 meters, putting her in third place behind Kazu and Yuka. Yuka is not happy. The look on her face says it all. After practice, Yuka confronts Kazu, jealous and upset. She accuses Kazu of replacing the old Shizuko with the new one, asking how she could take her to their secret spot and treat her the same way. Shizuko overhears the whole thing and is clearly hurt. Later, when she goes to her locker, she finds something disturbing, a dead bird hidden inside her clothes. Furious, she takes the bird and shoves it right into Yuka's lunch bowl. Yeah, she's done playing nice. That night, Shizuko picks up the diary Kazu gave her, but she notices something shiny on the ground, a necklace. Just as she reaches for it, a creepy hand shoots out from under the bed and snatches it. Shizuko panics and looks under the bed, only to find their classmate Ajushi hiding there, looking absolutely terrifying. She runs out of the room in a panic. The next morning, all the girls rush to Ajushi's bed, only to find out she's gone. Shizuko checks the spot under the bed again. Ajushi's not there anymore, but there's a trail of blood. She doesn't tell anyone what she saw. Later, the headmistress gathers all the girls and tells them Ajushi's mom came to pick her up. But something about that story doesn't sit right with Kazu. It reminds her of what happened to the old Shizuko. When Kazu visits her secret place to clear her mind, she finds Yuka already there. Yuka sarcastically mentions how strange it is that Ajushi left without her favorite handkerchief, clearly hinting something's off. It feels like another cover-up, just like before. Back in the dorm, the girls are clearing out Ajushi's bed. Shizuko finds Kazu and tells her everything she saw, but Kazu brushes it off, saying she probably just had a bad dream. Then we get a flashback of Kazu's memories with the original Shizuko. They were really close, but Kira, who overheard Shizuko, believes her. She says she saw Ajushi hiding under the stairs. So Shizuko goes there, and sure enough, she finds her. But Ajushi is barely hanging on. Then suddenly, Kira starts choking herself and collapses. Shizuko tries to help her, but can't, so she runs to get the assistant. By the time they return, Ajushi's gone. No one's there. Shizuko tries to explain what she saw, but all they find are some wet footprints. No blood, no girl. It's like she vanished again. Shizuko reports this to the headmistress, but the woman tells her Yuka had left early that morning and acts like Shizuko's hallucinating. She blames the meds and says she'll adjust her dosage. But when Shizuko goes to take her treatment, something feels wrong. Her body starts rejecting it. She can barely breathe, and the vial falls and shatters on the floor. She feels dizzy and weak, stumbles around, even walks over broken glass, but doesn't feel any pain. Then she starts throwing up again and again. The next day, she sits with Kazu and asks why. Even though she's one of the top athletes, she never talks about wanting to go to Japan. But Kazu stays silent. Shizuko walks away and starts running, and in a burst of strength, makes a massive leap farther than ever before. Kazu watches in shock. It's exactly what happened with the old Shizuko before she disappeared. She tells Shizuko not to mention this to anyone. Just then, they hear the headmistress and a Japanese official coming, so they hide in the bathroom. Shizuko whispers to Kazu that she feels like something's burning inside her and begs for help. It reminds Kazu of the moment when the old Shizuko had said the exact same thing. She panics and runs off, leaving Shizuko alone. Shizuko goes straight to the headmistress and begs her to stop the treatments. She says she doesn't cough anymore and that her health is improving, but for the first time, the headmistress drops her calm act and coldly kicks her out of the office. During class, the headmistress announces that Shizuko is officially the first student selected to travel to Japan. As soon as she leaves the room, Kazu gets up and storms out, clearly upset. The idea of losing Shizuko too is too much for her. And just then, Yuka charges at Shizuko and starts smashing her head against the locker, screaming that she stole her dream and that she's not going to let her get away with it. Suddenly, something snaps in Shizuko. Her anger builds up, and she smashes right through the glass with her bare hands. Then she storms over to Yuka, grabs her by the neck, and lifts her completely off the ground until she passes out. Yeah, Shizuko just unleashed a whole new level of strength. That's when Kazu runs in and sees the glass shards sticking out of Shizuko's hands. But Shizuko doesn't even flinch. She tells Kazu she can't feel pain anymore. It's all gone. And hearing that, it terrifies Kazu, because it's exactly what happened to the old Shizuko right before she vanished. Panicked, Kazu lashes out at Shizuko, demanding to know who she really is. Meanwhile, the headmistress takes Shizuko to a strange room with some high-tech device, telling her calmly that it's something designed to make her even stronger. Later, Shizuko checks on Yuka, then goes back to read Kazu's diary. But this time, she finds something bizarre. One whole page is filled with her name, written over and over again. The next page, a drawing of a mysterious box hidden in the basement. Curious, Shizuko sneaks down there and finds a stash of old photos. And they're all of the first Shizuko. At the same time, Kazu is having a vivid dream about the last day she saw the original Shizuko, remembering how she got injured and had glass embedded in her hands. Kazu wakes up in a panic and races to the basement. There, she finds Shizuko standing by the box. Kazu freaks freaks out, rushes to move the box aside, and finally tells her everything. She confesses that after the original Shizuko got hurt, she told Kazu the exact same thing. No pain, just burning inside her body. Then she started convulsing violently. Kazu got so scared, she ran. But before she left, she pushed the heavy box onto her, trapping her behind it. When she returned with help, they found a huge hole in the wall. The girl was gone. Kazu tells Shizuko she's been living with guilt ever since. She believed the school's lies and tried to forget what really happened. But now, they both agree they need to uncover the truth. So they break into the headmistress's office and start searching for answers. Just then, the headmistress walks in, along with the Japanese officer overseeing the school. The girls hide quickly and overhear everything. Turns out, the school has been running experiments on the students. The officer is furious that 2 girls had to be removed because the formula didn't work, and he demands faster results. Once the coast is clear, the girls unlock the safe and find a hidden file. Inside, they discover the horrifying truth. The school is testing a drug designed to create superhuman soldiers, something that could make people immune to death and give them incredible strength. The report lists every girl who didn't survive the drug, but the ones who did, they're being trained for the Japanese military. And the one girl whose body responded best to the drug was Shizuko. Shocked, the girls play a secret recording that confirms it. The girls in the first round of testing were all lost, but one made it to phase 2, Shizuko. Before they can even process this, they hear screams outside. They rush out and find Yuka standing at the top of a tree, clearly out of her mind and on the verge of ending her life. Before anyone can stop her, she jumps, right in front of all the students. That's it. Kazu and Shizuko decide it's time to escape. When the headmistress finds out, she loses it, slapping her assistant across the face. She realizes the officer might now be against her. But the one thing she still cares about? Shizuko. She's the only successful subject left. Meanwhile, out in the woods, the girls are desperate and exhausted, but suddenly they smell food cooking. They think they're close to a village. Maybe help is finally near. But when they step through the trees, they find themselves standing right in front of a Japanese military camp. Before they can react, the officer appears and ambushes them. The girls fight back and manage to escape. They run as fast as they can, but the officer pulls out his gun and shoots Shizuko in the back to slow her down. His logic? The drug will heal her anyway. Before Kazu runs off, she kneels beside Shizuko and promises she'll come back for her. And just when we think it's over, we find out something wild. Yuka is still alive. That gives the headmistress hope again. If she can't get Shizuko back, maybe Yuka can still be used. Her hope turns into joy when the officer shows up, dragging Shizuko behind him. They take her straight to the lab and inject her with another dose of the drug, bringing her back again. Just as the assistant walks in, she finds out that Yuka didn't make it, and that's when it finally hits her. Yizuko really is the one they've been waiting for. Meanwhile, Kazu manages to return to the school. She heads straight to the principal's office and grabs her gun. The principal, totally unaware, goes back to the girls to continue her twisted experiments. But before she can even start, Kazu sneaks in, finds Shizuko tied up, and sets her free. Suddenly, they hear a sound. Kazu gets nervous and hides in one of the rooms nearby. Inside, she finds these massive tubes. But before she can even look properly, the officer sneaks up behind her and knocks her out. He goes back to the principal and tells her the project is over. She's officially out. But she insists that this whole thing was her idea from the beginning. He shuts her down and tells her backup is already on the way. Then comes the big reveal. The assistant? She was actually the officer's spy the whole time. She walks in and slaps the principal across the face. That's when the principal completely breaks down, begging the officer to let her keep the invention. But he couldn't care less. Meanwhile, Kazu is now trapped inside one of those tubes, and water starts pouring down on her fast. She starts screaming for Shizuko to help her, but she can't hear anything. The tube is soundproof. So Kazu just closes her eyes and starts thinking of the good memories. The water's rising, and she's running out of time. But suddenly, Shizuko wakes up. She tries to get up from the bed, but her body's still weak from the treatment. Somehow, she pushes through, stumbles into the room with the tubes, and what she sees stops her cold. There they are, the old version of Shizuko and all the missing girls, frozen like some twisted museum display. When she spots Kazu, she breaks down crying. On the other side of the school, the principal pulls out a gun and starts firing at the officer, but she misses. More soldiers arrive, and he orders them to take her out. But Shizuko shows up, absolutely wrecked with anger. She literally rips the door off its hinges and throws it at them. Still, she can't bring herself to hurt the officer or the principal. The principal then screams at everyone, saying that Shizuko is the only successful version of the experiment. But the officer doesn't care. He wants her gone so he can control the files and start the experiment from scratch. scratch. Big mistake, because the moment the soldiers go near her, Shizuko wipes them all out without breaking a sweat. Then she grabs the officer by the neck and finishes him off. Meanwhile, back in the other room, the assistant walks in to find that the drug they gave the girls while they were asleep killed almost all of them. Only a few are still alive, sitting on the floor in shock. But when they see the assistant, they rush at her in pure rage and literally tear her apart with their bare hands. Now we're back with the principal, who's desperately calling the Japanese government, not because she cares about Shizuko, but because she's scared of losing her invention. But it's too late. Shizuko shows up, throws her across the room, then walks up to her and asks, "Why did you do this to your own students? Were they really that disposable to you?" That question pushes Shizuko over the edge. She slams the principal into the wall, then walks toward the tube where Kazu's trapped. But the principal, not ready to give up, shoots Shizuko in the back. Shizuko falls and hits the glass, and the impact causes it to shatter. Kazu falls to the ground. That's it. Yuzuko's done playing nice. She grabs the principal and slams her into a metal spike on the wall, ending her once and for all. The next morning, only one girl wakes up normally from the drug. She looks around, completely shaken by what she sees. Just bodies everywhere, and the assistant's mangled corpse. In the final scene, we see Shizuko holding Kazu's head in her lap, softly telling her, "Now we can finally go home." And with that, she closes her eyes and passes away. And that's how the journey ends.